Lesson 53 is about a decimal chart and simplifying fractions. Now, on page 283, there's a decimal arithmetic reminders chart, and we're going to look at that together in class tomorrow. But we're going to go ahead now, we're going to do a few problems to see if we remember all of the decimal rules that we've learned so far. Now, the first question that we want to do is simplify 5 minus 4.2. We know when we subtract decimals, we want to line those decimal points up. So 5 doesn't seem to have a decimal, but we write it at 5.0 instead, so we do. So we have 5.0 minus 4.2. When you subtract decimals, you've got to make sure that that decimal point is in the same spot right on top of itself so that it can go straight down in the answer. Now 5.0 minus 4.2, well, you could borrow from the 5 to get 4. We've got 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. Or we could have done that by saying 5 minus 4.2 must be equal to 0.8 without borrowing and regrouping. Either way, we get that answer correct. Big thing with subtracting decimals, line up the decimal point. Now let's do another problem. Let's say we have problem B. And for problem B, let's do 0.4 times 0.2. Now if we do this problem, we know when we multiply fractions, we line them up vertically again, 0.4 times 0.2. But it doesn't matter if the decimal points line up in multiplication. This one was just a coincidence that it did. Now we know 2 times 4 is going to give us 8. Okay? And then we've got 2 times 0, that's 0. What we need to remember when we multiply decimals is how we find out what the decimal point will look like in our answer. So, we know that we've got to move the decimal over once here to get it out of our number. One more time here, so that's a total of once, twice in our factors. So we have to move it over once, twice in our product. So our answer must be 0.08, or let's say 0.08. Remember to always put the 0 in the 1 spot to make it easy to say and easy to read your answer. Now let's look at another one. Let's say we have a third problem, C. It's going to be 0.12 divided by 3. Now, if we divide decimals, we've got to remember which ones are dividend and which ones are divisor. Which one is which? Our dividend is in the box, 0.12 or 12 hundredths. Our divisor is out of the box, 3. Now whenever we do a problem like this, we've got to bring that decimal point straight up when we're dividing by a whole number. 3 goes into 0, 0 times. 3 goes into 1, 0 times. 3 goes into 12, 4 times. We've got 12 with 0 left over. So we've got our final answer of 4 hundredths, or 0.04. That's our quotient. And we're all done. Now our final problem is going to be this. We're going to say 5 divided by 0.4. 5 divided by 0.4. Now, 5 is our dividend. It goes in the box. And we're going to divide it by 0.4, so our divisor is a decimal. What do you do if your divisor is a decimal? Hopefully you thought you moved the decimal out of the divisor, so we have to move it one time. So we've got to take our number 5. We've got to make it 5.0. It moved once in our divisor, so it has to move once in our dividend. So we're going to get a new problem. That new problem is going to be 50 divided by 4. And we can go ahead and solve. We know 4 goes into 5 one time. We've got 4 with 10 left over. 4 goes into 10 two times. We've got 8. Looks like we're going to have just enough room here because 50 is really the same thing as 50.0. Decimal point now comes straight up like the last problem. We've got 20 left over, and 4 goes into 25 times. We've got 20, and we might just squeeze that in there. We've got no leftovers, or no remainders. So we've got an answer of 12 5/10, or 12.5. And we're all done with problem D. We'll look at that decimal chart together on page 283 in class next time I see you. Now our next problem is simplifying fractions. And if we want to simplify fractions, what we're going to do is we're going to add them together. So, in this problem, we've got 4 6 plus 5 6, and there's two ways we can do this. The straightforward way, the first way, is to say, what is this equal to? And what we're going to do, we've got like 4/6 of a pizza plus 5/6 of a pizza. If we said that, we know we'd have more than one pizza. We're going to keep the denominator the same whenever we add fractions. Okay, the whole stays the same. And we take our numerators, the numbers on top, and we add them together. So 4 plus 5, that's going to give us 9. So we have 9/6, which we know we must simplify. 9/6, that must be equal to 1 3/6. And 3/6, if we divide both of those numbers by 3, okay, 3/6 divided by 3 over 3, 3/6 divided by 3 over 3 must be equal to 1/2. So we'd have, pardon me, we'd have an answer of 1 1/2. And we're all done. Go ahead and get those notes copied down while I get my voice back. Alright, I got my voice back. Now, 9/6. If we wanted to do this problem a little bit different way, instead of going from 9/6 to 1 3/6, we could have said 9/6 and reduce that. If we say 9/6, we find out that we can divide both of those numbers by 3. So we divide by 3 over 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 over 3 is 2. We get 3 over 2. Now, 3 over 2, we know that that must be equal to 1 1/2. And we have the same exact answer that we had before. So both ways give us the same answer. You can pick whether you want to take your answer and change it to a mixed number and then reduce, or you can take your answer, you can change it, you can reduce it as an improper fraction and then turn it to a mixed number. Both ways give us the exact same answer. If you have a question on those, rewatch this part of the video, take some notes, and if you still have a question, bring it to class tomorrow. Our lesson practice, where we'll practice these concepts again, will be on page 284. Make sure your notes are completed, and have a nice afternoon.